You know what, football fans, they are 26 names that are proudly posted on the west side facade at Tim Hortons Field as inductees on the Ticats Wall of Honor. This evening, the 26th individual will join those other distinguished names. Folks, he wore number 82. Let's speak to Mr. Darren Flutie. You know, you got to say this. How honored are we here in Hamilton that after not seeing Darren Flutie for probably 2 decades, we've now seen him in back-to-back years here at Tim Hortons Field. And instead of the focus being on Danny McManus, his guy, we get to celebrate the career of number 82. Thank you so much for joining us, Darren Flutie.
Oh, well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be back. It's great to be back.
And I'm going to have to ask you, because I know sometimes these things can be fun, and looking back at over the years, your big night last night, the big dinner, how was that?
It was perfect. It really was perfect. I mean, we're staying out at Sandman Hotel, and they had an adjacent restaurant, and everyone just kind of met there. There must have been 15 to 20 guys from the 99 team that I played with, teammates, and my wife and my 2 children, my daughter and my son. And so they got a real look at kind of what it means, what it meant to be a teammate on that team. So that really was a special team. I've played in a lot of locker rooms, a lot of different teams, but the bonds of friendship and the respect we had for each other was a little bit different with these guys, and it was fun. It was like 4 hours of just reminiscing. And
good times, good times.
I can tell you, Bob, it was a good time, and hearing yourself speak, guys like Danny Mack, Andrew Grigg, Morielli, Donnelly, Coach O, maybe a few others I might forget, but a couple of stories or a couple of things kind of caught my mind, talking about how you had a cerebral mind about the game of football, how you were such a good teammate and a guy that could joke around, have a lot of fun, but be super serious, get to work, go the extra mile, make the block, make the catch, all that. So what does it mean to just be talked about by guys who are legends in their own right?
That's a great question. That's what struck me the most. And like I was thinking about that last night. Like that's the way I wanted to play and I wanted to be. But you never know how other teammates perceive you or fans or coaches perceive the way you play. But to hear them say, listen, this guy approached it like very professionally. He worked extremely hard. He was a team guy, team first, and that's what I always wanted to be, right? You want to win, but to me, that's kind of the recipe of winning. But you also want to have fun. Like, it's the game we all love. That's the only reason we're playing it. But if you're going to play, you might as well win. And we did a good job of that.
Yeah, it's not worth it to play if you're not having fun, right? I know our colleague Luke Tasker always says that as well, and I live by that. If you're not having fun out there, like, what's the point? What are you doing this for?
Something's going wrong. If you're not having fun, you're either losing or the locker room's a mess. And the locker room was not a mess for those teams with Coach Lancaster. And fortunately, we won.
Well, we saw your spot out there, kind of reserved for I don't know what's to come. I can assume, but along the wall of honor. But just how special is that to be forever engraved in a stadium and an architecture in the city that you played, and the people love you here. It's got to feel good. Just talk about that. What it's going to feel like to see the unveiling of the game.
I keep trying to find ways to kind of downplay that and be like, well, it's such a great honor. But you can't help but to be, like, very excited about it. Like, my name will be there 50 years from now when whoever is coming up and playing, whatever next great player plays here, they're going to look up and see 82 Darren Flutie. And, that's the type of stuff that you never expect to happen in your career. But when it does, it's like the best icing on the cake you've ever had.
Well, yourself.
So if it just on that point, that's got to be pretty good when you can tell your kids that too. When they go, hey, Daddy was pretty good.
Well, my kids were so young when I was playing that they don't have a feel of me as a football player. They think of me as this guy that runs a business in orthopedics and kind of a professional business person. So to go back and see some of the clips they were showing last night, and then a lot of the people that got up and spoke talked about your name is on that stadium forever. You're immortalized as far as your name and number being up there in the Ticat Stadium. And I think, especially my son, I think it kind of sunk into him like, wow, my dad was a pretty good football player.
Cool, yeah. Well, I'm sure you're just like myself. First time you come to Hamilton, you see names like Bernie Filoni and all that follow, and you're thinking, okay, like that was before my time. Let's look this guy up. Let's learn about him. And so it really brings the culture of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. You get to. People will be looking at you, like you said, at 50 years and be like, oh, who is Darren Flutie? And then look you up and sort of revisit that era of greatness, which is amazing. Do you have any stories that you can share from whether if it's from last night or this or today or just in general?
I don't know. The biggest story for me, and this is how the guys talked about me and remember me, as being very family-oriented, and I was always worried about Terry being up here and our kids being up here, and if they had to go home for sports or for school, I really struggled. It was tough. I actually lived with Ozzy for a while when my wife and kids went home, and it was just the toughest time. And teammate after teammate got up and said, he put his family first, and for Terry and Troy and Taylor to be up here and share this moment with me, that's been the best part of the last couple of days for me.
Yeah, that's amazing. We'll get a chance to speak with Paul, with Ozzy at halftime, and reminisce with him a bit. What are you looking forward to for the game tonight?
Well, I think weather has become a little bit of an interest. It'll be a little bit windy. I know the Ticats have like a new punter tonight, so that could be interesting. I've been in games where the punter punts it and it goes high enough, it goes backwards. So I don't think the wind will be that bad tonight, but field goals and punting and field position will play a big role. And then if it does rain at all.
Yeah, it is windy down on field level right now. Have you ever been part of a offensive coordinator change midseason? Oh,
yeah. Boy, I think 1 year in British Columbia, we probably had 3 offensive coordinators. Danny was part of they just couldn't settle on who they wanted to play at quarterback. And I kept telling him, just leave McManus at quarterback and we're going to be fine. Not every game's going to be perfect, but in the end, that's the best team we have. And eventually they did that. But it's not fun to be shuffling offensive coordinators.
What positives do you think can come from it with this team this year?
Well, I think you get to see a lot of different things, maybe different formations, different philosophies, different terminologies, and you get to see what sticks with the players. I always feel like the simplest terminologies are the best. You need your guys to remember the plays. And so whoever has the best terminology and concepts as far as route combinations, that's what's going to stick.
We like to hog you here in Hamilton, but the reality is there's also Vancouver, and there was also some great years in Edmonton as well, too. Let me just throw this to you. I went and have to do a little quick research. I think it was 88. You caught a couple of touchdown passes from Mark Malone with San Diego. You spent the season there. Yeah. And then, you had a little stint with the Phoenix Cardinals. What made you come to the CFL?
Well, it was tough because I had gotten released by the Cardinals after I had a great training camp the year before, but then I broke my left foot, and I was really soured on football. It was a hard, camp, and it's a tough business down there. But Doug had kept saying that the CFL, it'll put the fun back in the game. He's like, trust me, just come up and come to practice and play for a little bit, and you'll see. If they don't think you're good enough, they're going to tell you, you know what, it's not going to work out, but thank you. That wasn't happening in the NFL. But if it does work out, it ends up 12 years, and maybe you get your name up in a stadium like this.
So cool. I like that.
Time for our first time out on the broadcast, and from one fella who, certainly was a CFL legend. It is awesome to see. I hope you get to enjoy your evening. Halftime is going to be a special moment. Hold back the tears. I know I can see it. Yeah, I can see it. You're getting a little emotional with us right now. But thank you so much for joining us, Doug. Enjoy Darren. My goodness. Thank you so much. And keep playing that guitar, too.
Oh, absolutely. We got shows this week.
So. Right on.
Thank you.